Hey guys, Joseph Henson here with Henson CPA Group. I appreciate you joining me today. This week we're going back to our discussion over the IRS and where folks mess up when dealing with the IRS, especially clinic owners. Again, I'm Joseph Henson, CPA with Henson CPA Group. Let's talk through why it often makes the situation worse without realizing it when a clinic owner, a veterinarian, talks directly with the IRS. Why would this matter? I mean, it's your clinic, you run it, you understand the numbers, you know what's happening. At least that's kind of your hope. But most clinic owners don't deal with the IRS often. At least that's the hope. We don't want you dealing with the IRS multiple times a year, every 2 years. So, because it's not your specialty. So, when something does come up, it often feels very urgent. You need to get this handled immediately. Oh my goodness, let's get them everything they can have. It feels confusing. Well, how is this even possible? I have someone who handles that. Whether that's payroll, my payroll taxes are paid. Whether that's your tax liability, I pay my estimates, I think. Whether that's the inability to pay, what do we do? It's confusing. And it feels like something needs to be done immediately. And that's truly the issue. When a combination of this happens, that's where the mistakes happen. When it feels urgent, confusing, and it needs to be done immediately, you run a greater risk of hurting yourself more when you talk to the IRS. So, what is the number one mistake? Acting too quickly without understanding the full situation. We have a lot of examples over this. Responding to the notice immediately, calling the IRS without context. I want people to know you have a legal right to representation. Avoid the ones that say resolution. We want representation. Who can represent you in front of an IRS situation? Lawyers, obviously. CPAs. Hi, Joseph Henson CPA here. EAs, enrolled agents. You want those folks in your corner. Making payments before reviewing the full picture. If you just make a payment because you're like, well, they must be right, I must have been wrong, that's not always the right answer. Now, there are times when we're like, hey, let's pay this and get all this back later because we need time to handle the situation properly. And then sending documents without knowing what triggered the issue. If they are wanting to look at your income and sending them just all your bank statements, that's going to give them more than what they truly need. We want to make sure what they are asking for is what they get within reason. It feels proactive when you do this, but it can actually make things harder to fix. Why this happens. Here's where some of the mistakes really come from. Wanting to take care of it quickly. I just want to get this out of my area. I don't have time to deal with it. Let's just get it taken care of. Fear that ignoring it will make it worse. If I just ignore it, I'm going to have to think about this every single night. I'm not going to sleep. The IRS is going to go ahead and levy my bank. They're going to take all my money. I'm not going to be able to pay my employees. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do that. You will spiral. Not knowing what the notice actually means, and then pressure from deadlines. You don't have a long time to respond to these notices. But by not engaging with someone who practices representation, you are potentially overpaying, over-providing, and actively negotiating against your best interest. It is a natural reaction, but it's not always the right first step. What most people don't realize, the IRS notice is often only part of the story. There is way more to this than the little 2-3 pages you get from the IRS. There may be additional notices that you have not yet received. It might have prior filings affecting the situation. It might not be a current year. It might be from 2-3 years ago. And there could be underlying issues not obvious at first glance, especially if you don't have fabulously clean financial statements. There could be other issues. If you have had someone who gets to the books, or if you've done it yourself, or a spouse or a kid, when they get a chance, but you notice that, hey, I thought I had this right, but what they're saying is different. We want to make sure that's right before anything else. And responding too quickly can mean responding to incomplete information. Just because the IRS sent you it doesn't mean it's always accurate. Here are some common world scenarios. Paying a balance before verifying it is correct. Do you know that they're saying you have an underpayment penalty, you didn't pay enough, but you go back to your bank statements, you can see every check you wrote, you can look at your withholdings, here's all that, you see the deadlines, does that match what is on the IRS notice? Responding to one notice while missing another. Are there other notices that should have been received that could have gotten misplaced? They're in a pile of mail, that doom pile that you have on your desk. Agreeing to something without understanding the long-term impact. Hey, I'm going to just agree to this, let it go away. What's that do down the road? Are we waiving rights to anything else that we might need to retain? And then trying to fix it without knowing what caused it. You can fix an issue temporarily, but, and this is a big but, if you have a payroll issue and you weren't remitting your payroll taxes, just trying to fix it isn't going to solve the issue. Why did you have this issue? If you are underreporting your income because you're not properly accounting for everything, just saying, hey, we'll just fix it, we'll just agree to it, doesn't truly fix the issue. Why are they showing more income? Was there fraud? Was someone saying this is their EIN and it's not, and they were recording more revenue but collecting the money outside the clinic? What's going on? Your intentions are good, but the strategy is missing. Here's a better approach. Instead of reacting immediately, let's start with understanding the full situation first. We want to make sure we review all the relevant filings and notices, identify what actually triggered the issue, and evaluate options before responding. When you get a notice, your first inclination should be, hey, let's make sure we know what's happening. We don't want to delay it. You have time for a reason. So by not delaying and actually engaging with someone who is well-versed in representation, it will lead to better decisions and better sleep at night. What changes when you do this? When the situation is approached strategically, your responses are more accurate, which means you will have fewer surprises come up later. It will also lay out the options that are very clear for your situation, and your stress decreases significantly. Clarity replaces urgency. You can get on our schedule. We can walk through this with you with an initial evaluation, see what's going to happen, see what it looks like to fix your issue for you. Where most clinics get stuck, many clinic owners aren't sure how to interpret the notices. They don't know what information to look for, and they feel like they need to respond quickly. By default, you are reacting. That is really just the cycle, and that's what's going to lead to the issues long term. We want to break that cycle. We want to make sure what you respond to is all the information needed, nothing more. Let's take care of this issue and say, hey, we need a little more time. We were just engaged. I'm not going to let my clients go to an IRS field audit. I'm not going to let them get on the phone with the IRS because they're not well versed at this. We want to make sure we get as much information. If we need to bring you in for something, that's where we handle it. You pay for the expertise, just like when I take my animals to a veterinarian, I'm paying for their expertise. I don't want to do it myself. I don't know how to do it myself. And it's going to cause more harm than good. Here's the real takeaway I want you to get from this. The issue usually isn't the notice itself. It's how the situation is approached. We want to make sure that when acting quickly feels right, it's not always. Understanding first is actually going to solve the problem. Acting quickly can create more problems that we can head off now. Understanding, discussing the best approach is where we will see the best results. Now, that is not to say you won't still owe money. That's not to say you might not have any issue at all. But by taking the proper time to engage someone who is well-versed and trained in representation before the IRS, it will have a much better outcome than what you typically would think. If you have received an IRS notice or aren't sure how to handle a situation, we will offer a free strategy call where we can talk you through it. We'll help you understand what the notice actually means and what your options are before you respond. We will actively work with you to get the outcome that is most desirable to everyone. Now, that doesn't mean it's only going to be in your favor. There are situations that take negotiation, they take time, and that's what we want to work on. My booking link is directly below. You can reach me via email, joseph@hensonCPAgroup.com. I appreciate you guys being here. As always, again, I'm Joseph Henson, CPA with Henson CPA Group, and you guys have a great night, and thank you.